Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got a really fun project for you today. This quilt is based on the Dutchman's puzzle block, which is an old block, and we've made it new using pre-cuts, and I love doing that. It's so much fun, but we've made it really easy for you. So let's take a look at this quilt behind me. So isn't this beautiful? It's great. I love the fabric line. These are the blocks we're making. They're great big giant 16-inch blocks, and when you make a block that size, the quilt comes together very fast. So to make this quilt, what you're going to need is one packet of 10-inch pre-cut squares, and we've used Sophie by Mary Koval for Wyndham, and I just think it's a beautiful line. You're also going to need one 10-inch packet, which is 42 squares in each, of a solid, your background color. You're going to need a 1/4 yard for your little cornerstone blocks. That's these little blocks in here. And you're going to need 2 yards for your sashings. And you're going to be good to go. Well, but the border, we need the border too. So you're going to need 1.25 yards for your border. And that we've made a 4-inch border. And this is going to make you a quilt that is 74 by 92. So this is a pretty big quilt. So here's how we did this. What we did was we took our squares. We took our printed square right here. And we took a solid square and we put them right sides together. Now, to make this quilt, it's traditionally made using flying geese. And these units look like flying geese units, but they are half square triangles. So we've made it even easier for you so that you can do this quick and easy. And it's just, I love how it came together. So what we're going to do on this, we're getting 8 half square triangles out of a 10-inch square. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw our lines corner to corner like this, from here to here, and then over here, here to here. Now I have actually put little dash lines on here already. Those are the stitch lines we're going to stitch on either side of our solid lines, corner to corner. So let's go to the sewing machine and do that. Now what I do when I do this is I line up my presser foot right along that line. And I go ahead and I'm just going to back tack there for a second, mostly because I didn't hit it right at the beginning. So we're just going to go right along this line on this side. As I get to the end here, I'm going to sew right off, and then I'm just going to flip this around and come right down the other side. Now you're going to need 2 of these for each block you make. And I have some of these done already for you. So there we've finished one side. Now we're going to come and do the other side. You do kind of want to watch your 1/4 inch, but it just goes so quick and easy. All right, we're to the end. We're going to flip it around and sew a 1/4 inch down the other side. I love this method. All right. Once you get your block sewn on either side of your drawn line, then you're going to start your cutting. The first cut, I like to line up my square on my block because it makes it easier to line up my ruler. These are 10-inch blocks, so we're going to cut it in half, which means we're going to cut it at the 5-inch line, like this. So, and our cuts should go right through the center of our crisscross in the middle. And then we're also, without moving it, we're going to go ahead and cut the diagonal lines as well. Like this, and like this. All right, now what we have are 8 half square triangles. Right away, I just love that. 8, it's so fast and easy. So let's iron those open. And I like to set them so that all my dark colors are facing up. I can set my seams and roll them back, and when I put the iron on there, I hit quite a few at a time. So that way I don't have to stop and set each one. I just get to iron them back. And here's the next one. And you're going to do this to all of yours. Now to make the block, you're going to have to do 2 squares. So you're going to do this again with another color. You want them to be a contrasting color, little bit different color, so that your pattern shows up. when you line them up like this, it makes it look like there's a pinwheel in the center, and then your flying geese around it. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So see, this has kind of that pinwheel effect right here in the center, and then you have these other flying geese out here that just fill in the block to make the Dutchman's puzzle. So what we're going to do is we're making flying geese units, but we're using half square triangles to do that. So we're going to put our two squares together just like this, and we are going to sew them right together, matching our color to color, 1/4 inch, and there we are. And you're going to do this to all of yours. So they're all going to be made as flying geese units that come together just like this. So you're going to make your flying geese units. And then I have some over here that are already done, because I want to show you how to set this block together. It's so fun. So the next block set you're going to make is you're going to take your two contrasting colors and you're going to sew them together. You always keep the same color on the top and the same color on the bottom. So you'll make a unit like this. And so I have my two geese here, and I am going to put them right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch right down this. But I want to show you something first here. Let me press this over so I can see if we can really show this. So right here, if you can see this, we have a stitch line, our thread here, that's crossing this way. Let me see if I can get my pen to write on here. There we go. We have a thread line that's crossing this way, and we have a thread line that's crossing that way. Anytime you have two thread lines that cross, if you stay on that cross or on the seam side, you won't lose your point. And that's important when you're putting geese together. You don't want to lose the little point of the geese. So I like to come along here and sew my 1/4 inch, and I'm going to watch where that little cross is and make sure that I go right over that. Now, I have been known to sew along and just eke out a little bit to make sure that I don't lose that point. You know, it's just a little trick. We can do that, right? And so then we're going to press these open. The other way you can do it so that you make sure you don't miss it and you don't have to eke it is you can put a pin right through that cross on both sides of your fabric. So see, then look how nice that point comes out, and you don't ever miss that point. I mean, it just comes out beautifully. So then when we go to put these together, they're going to swirl around like this. And then we've got this one right here that's going to come down like this. So now I've got one more here, and I need to sew this one together. Again, I'm going to watch where those seams cross. I'm making sure that the same color is on the bottom. And we're just going to sew right across here. And I watch where my needle goes so it goes right over that cross so I don't lose my point. Anytime you have a block where two threads cross, that's the key right there to not losing those points, is going ahead and doing that. All right, so now I've got this one all pressed, sewn, and we get to put him in here last, and he's going to turn this way. So you have up, over, down, and over. You're going to sew this together like a giant 4-patch, and it's going to make your blocks. And then we're going to sash the blocks. So I have some blocks here that are done. Let me show you these. And these make just a great size block. I mean, look at this. These blocks are awesome. They're like, I mean, it's just 16 inches. It's a great big block. They're beautiful. And now we have to put them together with the sashing. Now, anytime you're doing a sashing with a cobblestone, which is this right here, and this is what I'm calling the cobblestone, whenever you do that, what you're going to do, your sashing is going to be the same measurement as your block. Our blocks are 16 inches, so your sashing is going to be 16 inches. So you're going to cut your strips, you know, at 2.5 by 16, and you're just going to lay them in here like this with your blocks in between, just like this, and you're going to sew the sashing to connect the block. So let me do that on one of these. Let me go ahead and sew this one to this block, and we're going to sew this at 1/4 inch. Just sew down that side, and I've just got my sashing piece on top. And you just want to make sure that they line up evenly on the bottom. Now, I wouldn't measure every single block. I would just decide on a certain size, and I would just, you know, because your blocks may be a hair off or something like that, and I wouldn't worry about that too much. I would just say, My blocks are 16. I'm cutting my sashing 16. And if you have a block that's, you know, a little small or a little large, you just make it work. So I'm going to press this open. So now we're going to attach the other block to it. And to do that, we are just going to lay this one on here. And you can actually see what I'm talking about in this one. This block is just a hair bigger. So I'm going to put the big part on the bottom because the feed dogs will take in more fabric, and I'm just going to make it work. You know, kind of the feed dogs will take in a little bit more fabric. So my sashing strip is on the top, and we are just going to make this work. And I keep a hold of my sashing strip and let the feed dogs just pull that block through on the bottom. You really will be amazed at like how much fabric you can take up with those feed dogs. They're hard workers and they're hungry. Alrighty, there we go. So now we're going to iron this open, and you're going to do this to your whole top row. You know, sometimes it's easier to go ahead and press a sashing strip while you've got 2 or 3 blocks than it is to press an entire quilt. So we've got this going right here. You're going to keep adding them. We're going to put 4 across the top. 1, 2, 3, 4 with a sashing strip in between each one. For the next row, we just make a sashing strip and put it in there. So here's my sashing strip. You can see I've sewn my little 2.5-inch cobblestone and just laid it in there, sewn 1/4 inch. And this, because again, you know, your blocks are 16 by 16, so our sashing strip is 16. It's going to fit right in there. That cobblestone is going to go in there, and you're just going to be able to. So you add that row, then you add your next row that has already been sashed. You know, you'll go ahead and sash your whole rows before you put your sashing row in, which is this row here, like this. And pretty soon you're going to be done. So this just makes a great quilt. You've got 4 blocks across, 5 down. It's going to make a really big quilt, 74 by 92. I love the fabric. I love that we were able to take and make a Dutchman's puzzle new with a pre-cut. And we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the Dutchman's puzzle from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. The whole quilt came together. I just think it's beautiful. I love that we used half square triangles for making flying geese. I love the big blocks, and I cannot lie,